Yeah, I thought that was your internet though.
No, but that was the intro. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to our Formula One 2019 season preview with unrelated pool games. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoop whoop.
Like with all our other previews, when I say all of us, we've done two. um,
Well, we've worked hard this year.
yeah, of course, yeah. And also last year there wasn't
We'll
really
try to
many.
make it free next year.
Yeah, exactly. It depends how many changes there are. Like we didn't really do one last year because, well, there was not really much to talk about. Like the most of the
No, not a lot
teams of
changed.
this year, a lot has changed, and I'm just gonna double check the live stream's working before I invite you to a game of pool.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't want to be talking. I mean, let's see. Does
If
it
not,
work?
we'll see the viewers presently.
Yeah, well. Oh, it is. It is. It's live. It's live. That's good. That's good. Right. Okay. I'll invite you to. Right. So usually the way we do is because we did one 2017 and then we did one. I think it was 2015 or 16. I can't remember which year it was. It might have been 2016. Um, 2016 we actually played F1, so we actually played something related. 2017 we played Monopoly, which had a car in it, which apparently makes it, you know, roughly relatable.
It's more related to F1 than Paul.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good time to do it because the 8 days of testing have just finished. Literally about an hour ago now. We've seen a fair bit from the teams, although we're still kind of in the unknown going to Australia. Um, and yeah, we'll go from back to front discussing the teams because I don't know, I just feel like it's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Also, so of course that means we're starting off with Williams, who haven't had the best of tests. It's fair to say. We'll discuss their driver lineup first of all. They've got Robert Kubica and George Russell, a completely new driver lineup from last year. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking it's a much better lineup than they had last year.
It's certainly a much better lineup than last year. Well, obviously we know what happened to Lance Stroll moving to, well, Racing Point because his
Doesn't feel
father
right
bought the
saying that name,
team.
does it?
Uh, it's the worst. It's by far the worst name on the grid for me personally. The worst team name. Um, and then Sergei Sorokin, but I guess he's kind of had an upgrade. He's got a reserve role at Renault now, so maybe
Was
it's not
he?
so
I didn't
bad
know
for
that.
him. Yeah, he's got a reserve. He's a reserve driver now for Renault. It was announced not too long ago, but yeah, it's quite an upgrade.
Well, I suppose there is a very high chance that he'll just be, if he was still in the Williams, he's just going to be fighting at the back. Um, Speaking of that, then, Williams did the least laps of any team in testing. Not overly surprising considering the fact that they missed like 2 days, pretty much 2.5 days. They actually only did 50 less laps than Racing Point did, which is pretty fair play considering. However, their lap times were not good. They were comfortably the slowest team.
I really hope that they weren't pushing because if they were, they are in big trouble.
Yeah, it wasn't just. I mean, we kind of probably expected them to be the slowest team, but they weren't overly close to the next slowest, which is a concern. I'll actually say the next.
Well, it's a huge concern when they've missed 2 days of testing. You've got a feeling that they're not going to have a good car. They've got a lot of work to do.
To put it like this, George Russell did Williams' best lap time of testing, which was a 1:18.1. The next best car, or the next one up from that, is Lance Stroll in a Racing Point, and he's 6 tenths quicker than that. So that's not good.
That's very poor. And that's from a team that's not done a lot of testing either.
I'm really happy to see Kubica in F1 again. What the unknown of that is how quick is he going to be? I mean, we can't underestimate how bad that injury is. You know, his right arm will never be like the way it should be again. You know, that's got to
I
affect him.
think some of our questions were answered though. We were questioning like if he were able to complete an entire Grand Prix with that injury. I think he can now because he did a lot of laps in testing. I don't think he'll have too much of an issue.
Yeah, at least the main thing is it doesn't seem to affect his abilities to do a race distance. Just don't know what his outright pace will be. Although to be fair, looking at the car, it's not him that'll be the issue. And also, I don't know about you, but I think it's a good driver to have in alongside George Russell. You know, to help him along in his first year.
It's good to have an experienced driver and a young driver. I think that makes a good lineup.
And I say we watched a decent amount of F2, as much as we could handle because I'm gonna be brutally honest, I can't stand that Italian commentator. But from what I watched
I find it funny. I can't stop laughing.
I watched enough of F2 to see that George Russell looked really good, unlike that shot I just did.
That went almost as fast as the Williams, that shot.
I mean, testing it's always a lottery, of course. You never know quite how much the cars are pushing out on track. But well, let's say something we can say for sure on the Williams is the livery. What do you make of a livery?
I think it's the worst livery I've seen in years. It looks like Oral-B toothpaste with the white and the transparent to light blue. It's awful looking. It's two horrible colours mashed together. It's not great looking, and I think it's the worst looking car. Not only will it be probably the slowest car, but it'll probably be the worst looking.
Yeah, I mean, I quite liked it when I first saw it, but now I've seen it out on track. Yeah, I don't like it. It's not the colours.
It looks unfinished. It looks like it's been half painted.
That's the other problem. It's not so much the colours for me. It's just the fact that they've made a horrible mess up of combining them. It doesn't look right.
It's the transparency as well. When it goes from light blue to white, it's just it looks like it's been half done.
Well, it matches the car then, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Suits the team very well.
Yeah.
It's a shame because I think if there's any team that's going to end up leaving F1 in the next coming years, it's surely favourites are going to be Williams.
Oh yes. No, not about Williams leaving. That sounded harsh. I was about to pull.
No.
Oh. Ouch. And wow, well, roughly that kind of sums up we're talking about Williams.
Yeah. Sorry, we talk about Williams. I just wanted to end the game quickly.
I think we'll do this for each team as well. So obviously we've got the two drivers in the team. One word answer to this: which driver do you think is going to have the best season? Russell or Kubica?
For me personally, George Russell. He was really good in F2. We've even watched some races with him in it. Obviously, he won the title, and he had some great battles with Lando Norris. It must be said as well. Robert Kubica, he's getting on a bit now. He's got the experience, yeah, but he's getting on a bit. He's probably not at his prime, and he does have that injury as well, or that might be holding him back.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with you on that one. It's great to see Kubica back in the sport. It's credit to him that he never gave up after his injury. And I don't think he'll do a bad job, but I do think George Russell is a really good talent. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. It's such a shame that I worry that we're not really going to see much of him, or Kubica for that matter, just because of a car. But hopefully in Australia they'll surprise us a bit. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I suppose we'll move on to the next team. I don't actually know who finished ninth in the constructors last year. Is that bad?
No, I ain't got a clue either.
Let's just go from the team that did the next best lap in testing, which is Racing Point. They actually technically finished quite low down in the constructors last year, mainly because they pretty much had to reset as a team at Spa, I think it was. They've also got a new driver lineup in part. They've still got Sergio Perez, but they're now joined by Lance Stroll. And of course, that was not a decision influenced by the fact that his dad owns a team.
Yeah, no,
No,
not at all.
purely based on talent. No, I mean, yeah, it's good. It's. I don't want to be harsh on Lance Stroll, but I don't rate him very highly. I don't know about you.
I don't either. He's Maldonado 2.0. Probably crashes less, but still.
At least he's probably slower than Maldonado. Yeah.
He buys his way into F1. Sorry to say.
And now his dad owns a team. I can't see him leaving for a long time.
You could be there for next 10 years.
I worry a bit for Racing Point next year because they've got a weaker driver lineup because there's no way Ocon is worse than Stroll. I'm sorry, but there isn't. The only person who might argue that he is worse than Stroll is Verstappen. But that's mainly down to Brazil last year. I worry for Racing Point as well. It's been heard that they've not really... Their car's not that much developed from their 2018 car. They were the next slowest in testing after Williams. They only did marginally more laps than Williams, which is pretty bad to say that they were there all 8 days. I don't know. I mean, Sergio Perez is a good driver, but... I don't know, I worry for Racing Point this year. They look to me like they're going to be the next worst after Williams. I don't know what you think.
Was there a reason why they didn't run so many laps? Did they have a lot of car problems?
I can only assume so. They did
I didn't hear much from them.
They did 200 less laps than the next team after them. Which is Haas,
Yeah.
and we all know that Haas had a lot of issues. So... that's not good for Racing Point. They didn't look particularly quick either, and I don't know, I worry for them. The only good thing is they tend to be, when they were Force India anyway, they always tend to be that team that turned up to testing with a slow car and then improved it a lot during the season. I can only hope for their sake that's going to be the case this year. I mean, I've heard Stroll's... nice shot. I've heard Stroll's dad say something along the lines of he one day wants this team to be the biggest team in F1. They're a long way off that yet.
It's going to take years for that to happen. There are huge teams already in the sport. I mean, you saw Renault's return, and it's taken them a long time just to catch up to the big teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, I think Force India will be in the midfield group, but it may take some time in the season to get where they want to get. I mentioned their livery. It is a slight change from last year. It's got quite a bit of blue on it now, along with a pink. Do you like the colour combination, the livery? Do you think it works?
It's a bit too pink for my liking, but it's better than the Williams.
I don't think you'll find anything that you hate more than a Williams livery this year.
I didn't think it'd be worse than the last year's Williams in terms of livery.
Yeah, I mean, it was just boring before. Now it's awful.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this anyway because I asked it for the previous team before we leave Racing Point. Perez or Stroll, who's going to do better? I think I know what you're going to say, but I'll ask anyway.
Well, it's you know, his dad looks up to him a lot, so it's clearly going to be Sergio Perez.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Perez is a solid driver, a good driver. Stroll isn't.
Sorry to say, but I want him to prove us wrong. I really do. I'd like to see a close battle between the two of them, but I just don't see it happening.
I mean, he struggled against a Felipe Massa, who was about 5 years past his best.
Yes,
And
for
so,
sure.
I think Perez is going to be a step up from that. Ooh, that was too close. So yeah, Racing Point could struggle, but I think they'll get better as the season goes on. If I had to guess where they're going to constructors by the end of the season, I'd guess 7th maybe. I don't think they'll have as good of a year as what they had recently, but I think that's also partly down to the fact that other teams are improving all the time.
Agreed. I'll be surprised if they get ahead of Renault.
No, I think Renault are going to be Renault have a good season. We'll get onto them shortly. What was the next team we should go for? Let's go with McLaren. So McLaren are one of, I think it's 4 teams this year that have a completely new driver lineup. Of course, with a departure of Alonso from the Sport Italia and Van Dorn just getting dropped because of performance. We've got Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. It's nice, great to have 3 Brits on the grid this year. Got a bit carried away there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see how Sainz and Norris get on at McLaren. In terms of testing, what was their quickest lap from testing? Their quickest lap from testing was a 1:16.9 from Sainz on the last day, which was 7 tenths off the quickest. I'd say it's looking a lot better for them this year than it was last year.
Yeah!
God's sake.
I thought it was going to stop because they slow it down even more. I thought it was going to stop earlier. Sorry, I completely ignored what you said.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, McLaren, would you say it's looking a lot better from this season, based off of testing?
Based on their lap times, I think they are pushing it a little bit. I think they're going a lot faster than other teams are. They're deliberately going faster, I think. I think they're showing a lot more pace than other teams are, probably more than anybody.
Well, if you look at in terms of the lap times, where they go out of the 10 teams, they are 5th.
Yeah. I'll give them one thing. Reliability doesn't seem to be that much of an issue so far. That looks really good. They've seem to be solid on that front. Their pace is a bit of a question mark still. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
One thing I will say is the car itself looks really nice with the addition of the blue, and the race suits look amazing.
I love the race suits. I absolutely love the race suits. I know some people don't like it, but I really do.
Absolutely, and I like the freshness of the driver lineup. Obviously, it's a shame to lose Fernando Alonso from the grid, but I don't know. I think in a way it'll take some pressure off McLaren because I don't know. Alonso made a few too many comments, I think, for my liking.
Alonso is a fantastic driver, one of the best, but I think one of his biggest weaknesses was choosing teams in his career.
Wow, how did that not...
how did that not go in? How did that stay on the table?
Yeah! Oh, crap.
Well then,
This is probably going to be the toughest ones to call in terms of teammate battles. I mean, testing Sainz's lap times are 10th quicker than Norris's. Norris or Sainz, who's going to do better?
Ooh, this is a close one. Ah, it's so close to call. I'm just going to say Carlos Sainz because of experience. I do think he is a good driver. I think Norris will take a bit of time to settle in with the team, but I reckon it'll be close. I reckon it'll be close.
Do you say Sainz has got a bit to prove after last year because he was outperformed by Hulkenberg at Renault?
A little bit, but I thought it was a bit harsh as well, considering Hulkenberg's been at Renault for a long time now. And Carlos Sainz did put in some fantastic performances when he joined Renault. I really think he did. I felt like getting rid of him was a bit harsh, although they did get a good replacement. It was still a bit harsh.
What you were saying that all I could think of was Sainz Norris. Sainz Norris. Got in my head. I'm like, oh, it is really tough to call. Like you, I think Sainz will start off better because just the experience factor. Sainz will take a while to settle in.
I don't think Sainz is a bad driver. I think he's really good. On his day, he's a fantastic driver.
But I'm gonna say Norris. I think he's probably. I think in terms of British racing drivers, I've not been excited about a British racing driver this much since Lewis Hamilton came onto the scene, like 12 years ago.
It has been a long time. Yeah, it has been a long time. I became a Formula One fan when Lewis emerged.
Don't get me wrong, like, I'm excited about George Russell, probably just as well, certainly like a lot as well. But I don't know. I just watched Norris in F2, and some of his overtaking was brilliant. It really was.
I think we need to mention the fact that he's really young. He's 18, is he? 18, 19?
Yeah, we don't want to start sounding like
ridiculous age.
We don't want to start sounding like Max Verstappen fans to going on about age, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But that's a very young age to come into a professional sport.
What the hell was that shot?
Well, I did a good shot, and then I potted one of your balls. Oh, come on, this is unfair.
Yeah.
Well, if you missed this, Jake.
Yeah.
Well played.
Thank you. So yeah, I think we'll decide where all teams are going to be in the constructors at the end. But yeah, I think McLaren are looking marginally better, and I'm excited to see who wins that teammate battle because I think it could be one of the closest on the grid this year. We'll go on now to Toro Rosso, I think, actually. No, let's go Haas. So Haas are actually one of the very few teams that have stuck with the same driver lineup. Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean. Their car... I think their car looks really nice, actually. I don't know what you think.
They've probably had the biggest change in terms of livery. Probably. And yeah, it does look great. But what?
Or like that break-off shot. Wow, that was something.
Yeah. Anyway, Haas. They've had a very poor test considering their reliability. I'd say out of all the teams, their reliability is probably the worst.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They've really struggled for reliability. The amount of times I've heard like the Haas isn't out on track because it's broken down in testing, or I think it's quite worrying. In fact, I don't know if it's a Ferrari engine thing, but like Ferrari's reliability wasn't exactly bulletproof either.
That's very true. I mean, I guess if you think about it, with all the teams that have broken down, the ones with the Ferrari engines are probably the ones that have broken down the most.
It's not what I'd have expected. I would have probably gone with like
Honda.
Renault or Honda. Yeah, Renault or Honda.
Yeah,
It-
Renault or Honda. Yeah.
In terms of pace, where are they in terms of the teams? They are sixth, literally with pretty much the same time as McLaren. I think their car's quick. I think it's pretty quick. I just don't know how reliable it's going to be.
It really needs to be sorted as soon as, because if it keeps happening the way it is now, they're not going to finish many races.
No, I know what you mean.
It's not like they did 100 laps and then broke down. This was literally like only 20 laps in and they've broken down and stuff like that. They didn't do full race distances sometimes.
I think Haas as well, in terms of all the teams, they tend to struggle the most with developing throughout the season. Like they seem to go backwards more than most teams do throughout the season. If you get what I mean, like they don't develop as quickly as other cars do. So
Yeah, yeah, but they do always start off well.
yeah,
Doesn't seem to be the case this time though.
that's what I mean. I'm thinking they need to really make the most of the early part of the season, but if their car's unreliable, they're going to struggle to do that. Like I say, I'm getting very Lotus vibes from the design of the delivery of their car. I do like that a lot. In terms of the drivers, I mean, this is actually a tough one to call again. I mean, at least we've seen both these drivers quite a bit over the years, but would it be fair to say that neither of these drivers are known for consistency?
Not really, no. Although I don't think it's as tough a call as, say, Norris Sainz. Personally, for me,
Who are you going for to?
Kevin Magnussen. He's one of the best defensive drivers I've seen on the grid. He's really good. I know a lot of drivers call him a dick and that. They think he's dangerous sometimes with his defensive moves, but yeah, he seems to get it done all the time. Well done.
Thank
I
you.
was terrible that game.
It's nice that I'm winning now we're on live stream. That's,
yeah, the pressure's getting to me.
Your break-off shot was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm never gonna let that one down. God damn it.
So yeah,
Romain Grosjean, he does some really stupid things.
Baku safety
Like
car.
Yeah, crash in Spain as well. It was really dangerous.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the crash; it was the
horrible
attempt.
crashes.
It was the attempt to spin back onto the track.
Yeah,
Which completely baffled me.
for me, Kevin Magnussen's the better driver, and I wouldn't have been too disappointed had they replaced Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, I do. I just don't think he's up to the standard that he used to be, and I just don't think he's got that consistency that's needed either. I'm gonna edge it to Magnussen as well, and that's not just because I like him. I mean, there are some F1 races last year that were really dull, and his defensive driving made it interesting. Sochi comes to mind when he basically said, "You're not getting past Carlos."
Yeah, he's very good. How did you miss that?
No idea. So yeah, Haas not looking too bad, but reliability is definitely their biggest weakness. So yeah, we're going to Toro Rosso now. Brand new driver lineup for them, mainly because Red Bull go through their drivers far too quickly. I can't help feeling the two drivers.
Got any left?
I can't help feeling the two drivers they've gone with this season were kind of the only options. They weren't what they wanted, but they didn't really have any other choices. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think
for,
they wanted Daniel Kvyat again.
yeah, he literally is like, how many chances has he had now? It is a bit ridiculous. Alex Albon, of course, the teammate. I watched him in F2 quite a bit. I don't know. He was all right. He showed so he did some really good races at times, but he also, I don't know, he was very inconsistent. He was sometimes he was up there with Russell, Norris, and there was another driver who was up there as well. I can't remember his name. But there's other times though where he just didn't seem to really have the pace. I
To be
mean,
honest, we watched some F2 races, and I barely even seen him
yeah,
on the coverage in
he's
that.
he's kind of a British driver, although he represents Thailand. He was actually born in Britain, I believe. Um, I don't know. Out of all the rookies, he's probably the one I'm least excited about. In fact, Toro Rosso's driver partnership as a whole, I'm not particularly excited about. They did do the fourth quickest lap in testing. Out of all the teams, they did a 1:16.8, which is only both drivers did a 1:16.8 actually, and that's only 6 tenths off Vettel's lap time. Are you thinking that's another case like McLaren where they're probably showing a bit more than other teams?
Hmm. Yes and no, but I think Toro Rosso probably have a good package this year, especially with the Honda engine. They did have some brilliant moments last season when they finished really well. Um, so I think they have a lot more potential, and they definitely will have a good battle in the midfield with the other teams.
We say as well, both drivers have got a point to prove because Kvyat and Albon have kind of been overlooked a bit ahead of this year, and they might feel like they've got something to prove to everyone else.
Kvyat has a lot more to prove than Albon. With Albon, he's a rookie, so you might expect him to not be brilliant, but Kvyat, he's had a lot of time in F1. Um, he's even had a top drive at one point. He's got a lot more to prove.
It makes no sense as well from my point of view, like the whole Kvyat thing, because the point of Toro Rosso has always been to develop drivers for Red Bull. How the hell did I miss that?
Well, they kind of developed him. They developed him, and then they developed him, and then God, that's a mouthful. And then they are developing him again.
But he's never going to get a chance at Red Bull again, though, is he?
Well, it depends if they get rid of Gasly. They'll be like, "Whoa, who have we got left?"
It doesn't make any sense to me. Well played.
Thank you.
Whoa!
I feel much better after that.
um. Yeah, nice.
Look at the chalk effects.
So yeah, I think Taurus might have a good year. I kind of agree with you. I do like they have a good package, and I think they could be definitely in the top 5 of the constructors. I'm actually backing them to be in maybe 5th in the constructors. In terms of the drivers, here we go. I'll let you decide first. Kvyat or Albon?
I'm gonna go with Kvyat, just simply because I'm not entirely that impressed with Albon. So I'm gonna go with that. And Kvyat has had a lot more experience in Formula One.
I've got a sneaky feeling, even though I just kind of criticised the decision to bring him back, I've got a sneaky feeling like Kvyat's going to do a decent job. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I don't think Albon is there yet. I don't think, if they'd have had the choice, I don't think they'd have put him in the seat just yet.
I think Kvyat's time away from F1 probably helped with how on earth did you do it? But probably helped with his confidence.
Yeah.
because when he got demoted back to Toro Rosso, he was, well, he wasn't himself, was he? He was nowhere near at his best. I think nearly every race weekend he did was bad. So he should be a lot better on his return.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Albon, out of all the rookies, like I say, he's not the one I'm most bothered about. I hope he does well for his sake, because we know how harsh Toro Rosso and Red Bull can be with drivers if they're not doing well. Kvyat's a prime example of that. A couple of bad races and he's demoted. You know,
That's it, yeah.
but yeah, I hope he does well. I just think Kvyat will have something to prove and he'll do a better job. So before
Well said.
yeah, we'll move on to the next team once I've taken this shot, because I'm trying not to do another shot as bad as the last one I did. Oh god, that's not a good positional shot. Go on. Go on. Oh.
Oh, that's a bad miss.
So we move on now to Alfa Romeo. Wow, we've actually gone through... how many teams have we gone through now? I think we've gone through... 1, 2, 3... Gone through... Wow, it's the 16 we've gone to, Alfa Romeo. The fastest lap time they did was by Kimi Raikkonen. It was a 1:17.2. It was a little bit off what the likes of McLaren and Toro Rosso managed. What do you think of Alfa Romeo this season? I mean, firstly, a bit like we didn't really mention this with Toro Rosso, but there's not really much to say on their livery because it's exactly the same.
Yeah, this is probably the second worst livery for me. I do like the colour at the back of the car.
Yeah.
I don't like the rest of it. For me, white on an F1 car doesn't really work for me.
It smacks of laziness a bit as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we haven't really got any other ideas. I felt there's a lot they could do with Alfa Romeo as well. Like they could, especially when they changed name this year. I thought they would have gone for a different livery, but no. Yeah, it's all right. It's not amazing. Like I say, the back of the car looks way better than the front.
Absolutely.
In terms of driver lineup, they've got again a brand new driver lineup. Obviously, Leclerc going to Ferrari and Ericsson going to I don't know, whatever he went to. Shows how much I care about Ericsson. They've got Kimi Raikkonen, who's joined from Ferrari, and Antonio Giovinazzi, who had a couple of races at Sauber back in 2017. I want to say, yeah, it was 2017. Start of 2017. Like I said, I don't know much about Giovinazzi really, because he wasn't in F2 or anything like that. The only thing I remember him from F1 was he crashed a lot.
To be fair, he only had, what, one race?
Have I just potted the black?
I don't think so. I think you're right.
We'll never know. Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I was a bit surprised that Kimi stayed in F1. I genuinely thought that was kind of it for him in F1. I don't really know what he's got left to do at Alpha that he's going to achieve.
Maybe it's not so much about F1 anymore, but he enjoys the atmosphere in Formula One. Because let's be honest, it's a good life to have, you know. Go travel around the world, race some of the world's fastest race cars, and he does like to party too, don't he?
Yep.
And he's getting paid, so. You say, oh, what's the point of him being here? Well, there's a lot of good reasons to be there. Obviously, I'm sure he would love to stay at Ferrari, but obviously he wasn't gifted that choice. But, you know, Alfa Romeo isn't a bad choice either. It's just not as good as a top seat.
Oh, it's a crucial shot. Yeah, I mean, he turns 40 this year, Kimi does. It's hard to, but he'll literally be the last of the drivers that I. Oh, you are a dick. Oh, here we go. Get ready for the slow motion. Oh, crap.
Yeah. God, that shot for the middle pocket was crucial.
Oh,
Yeah.
it felt sudden stripe would have gone down. Yeah, anyway, back on point.
God, I completed that game with no fouls. Apparently, that's a surprise.
Oh yeah, so anyway, back on point. Um, yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know about Alpha this season. I felt the car looked pretty quick at the start of testing, but I don't know about. I think they're going to be sort of around 8th place in the constructors. I don't think they're going to be as good as what they were last year. I mean, let's be honest. Part of the reason why they were so successful last year was Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, I'm not that impressed with the driver lineup. I mean, Kimi Raikkonen, I'm sure he'll still have his great moments because he does have some great moments around certain tracks. But apart from that, Giovinazzi I'm not entirely impressed with. But I don't know him very well, so we might see something from him. So, yeah, I think they'll struggle to battle the midfield teams.
I think they'll be around the back of the midfield to start with Racing Point, I suspect. Out of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, who are you going for in this one?
Raikkonen. It's so much experience. He's still fairly quick. Giovinazzi, we haven't seen a lot of him.
I think Raikkonen's very consistent now. He's probably not as quick as what he used to be, but I think he's a very consistent driver. And I think if there's opportunities for points, I think he'll be right in there with a shout. I think Giovinazzi, yeah, it seems like he'll be he'll struggle in the early part of the season, and hopefully as the season goes on, he'll adjust better to F1 and he'll learn from Raikkonen. I think he said something in an interview recently that he was going to sort of look at Raikkonen's driving style and try to learn a lot from that.
He has got a good driver to race with. He's got a good teammate. So he should benefit from that a little bit, at least.
Yeah, so not too bad for Alpha, but I think they are going to probably slip a bit from last year. But that's mainly due to the fact they've lost Charles Leclerc, who we'll get on to shortly. So we're now getting into the top 4 teams, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory who we're going to next. What am I on, spots or stripes? Don't lie to me.
Your spots, aren't you? It should tell you. Yeah, you're on spots.
Yeah. So we're going to Renault now. It's Nico Hulkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo. I'm very excited about the driver lineup at Renault, I have to say. In terms of the fastest lap time they did, they're actually third behind Mercedes and Ferrari, about 6 tenths off Ferrari's lap time. Looked pretty good in testing, didn't hear much turns of reliability problems for them, and it looked like they had a decent turn of pace as well. Oh crap. What do you think about Renault based off of testing?
Out of all the teams that have, well, sort of revealing their cards or not, showing pace, Renault haven't shown that much. I don't think they've shown a lot of pace in the testing. So maybe they're hiding a bit of true pace.
I did notice.
So, it's hard to judge.
I did notice a lot in testing that you'd often see Mercedes and Renault at the back of the times doing a lot of medium tyre running.
Renault didn't show much, did they?
No,
in terms of lap time.
I get the feeling they're a bit like Mercedes because they seem to adopt this Mercedes policy of doing a lot of running on harder tyres. Because I noticed last year they were a lot quicker on the harder compound tyres than they were on the softer ones, and quite similar to Mercedes in that aspect. I've got to say, their livery's not a massive change from last year, but that yellow and black combination just works, in my opinion. I really do like it.
Yeah.
And it adds a lot of colour to the grid as well, which I think is quite nice. I like the way the fact it looks yellow at the front and then black at the back. I think that's a nice combination. And I think they've got one of the best driver lineups on the grid this year. I'm really looking forward to watching Hulkenberg against Ricciardo at Renault. Don't know about you.
It's going to be a close battle, just as close as Sainz and Norris for sure.
Do you almost feel Ricciardo? It was his only choice, really, in regards to where to move other than stay at Red Bull.
He could have stayed at Red Bull, although I feel like he'd probably have a tough time there with the team favouring Verstappen all the time. Red Bull do like to favour one driver. They did that with Sebastian Vettel, with Mark Webber, and then they did it on Daniel Ricciardo over Sebastian Vettel. Now it's Max Verstappen over Daniel Ricciardo. So,
yeah,
I think it was the right decision to move.
Yeah.
And Renault was probably his next best option, as soon as he couldn't go to Ferrari or Mercedes.
Oh, definitely. It was probably, like say, it was his best of a bad situation, really.
He could potentially be in a championship-winning car in a couple of years. Renault are a big team, and they have their own engine, which is crucial now in the current days of F1.
That suggests to me you don't think they're quite in that position yet.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Not this year. I think they've improved. Not massively, but I think they've improved.
I do worry, actually, Renault might end up having a lot of lonely races, because to me they look comfortably ahead of the midfield, but not quite with the top three teams yet. Would that be a fair evaluation?
Well, it's not bad to have a lonely race. I think they prefer to have a lonely race and get solid results, and be consistent.
I think there could be a podium or two on offer for them.
Stay in the midfield. I wouldn't rule it out. Out of all the, say, midfield teams, apart from the big three, I'd say Renault's probably the most likely to get a podium. Yeah.
I just feel like
Hulkenberg might finally get one.
Yeah, I just feel like there could be a lot happening at the front between the top teams, and Renault could just be quietly going about their business, and they could be they could benefit from that. I mean, there's no bigger opportunist in F1 than Danny Ricciardo. I mean, look at some of his wins. You'd think, how on earth did he win that race?
In Martin Brundle's words, he's been nicknamed the race burglar.
Yeah.
Whoa! I hope you don't miss this one. Oh, you played really well there. Well done.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, these are close matches, these.
No, you're doing well.
I'm pretty much banking on Renault finishing fourth in the constructors. I don't know about you.
Yeah, fourth.
And here's a question: Hulkenberg or Ricciardo? Who's going to do better?
Hulkenberg's very consistent, but I feel like Ricciardo had a lot of frustration with Red Bull last season with the reliability. I think he's hungry to prove his point, so I'm going to say Daniel Ricciardo. It'll be fairly close.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I do think it'll be really close, but I just think Hulkenberg's really consistent. But I just feel like Ricciardo's got that ability to put in the one or two great races.
See, yeah, Hulkenberg's consistent, but he doesn't have that next step. It feels like he's a consistent midfield driver rather than a consistent top driver.
Is it a free table or am I on armor stripes? Okay. Yep. Oh, for crying out loud.
Thank you.
No problem. Whoa!
Whoa!
I don't know why that happened. No ball hits a cushion. Wow, that's harsh. So now I guess we move on to Red Bull. Difficult testing for them, I think. They had a lot of car issues. I'm looking at the fastest lap times. I mean, if any team was sandbagging, it's got to be Red Bull, right? In terms of the fastest teams, they were 7th. Surely they're not.
Yeah, Red Bull are sandbagging a lot. Been done deliberately. So, yeah. It's because a lot of people are saying that Red Bull and Mercedes are very close. Yeah.
Said that with not an ounce of surprise. Yeah. Oh, kick your man. Yeah, Gasly struggled a lot in testing. I think out of all the drivers, he seemed to have the most offs, including a big one yesterday. I don't know if you saw the crash, but it was a really nasty one. And it was just basically he put 2 wheels on the grass. It was a very sort of rookie-esque mistake to make. It's not a sort of thing you'd expect to see from a top driver. I worry he's been brought in to be a number 2 driver. Is that how you see it?
Yeah. Though if Ricardo stayed, he'd probably be put in that spot as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's... I just don't know if Gasly's going to be up to... And I also don't think they're going to give... I worry Red Bull are going to go up to their old tricks of not giving like Gasly the same updates as what they'll give Verstappen on the car.
If they only have one upgraded front wing to use between the 2 drivers, it will go on Verstappen's car first.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed.
I said this for the last few years, and I'll keep saying it. He's still... Verstappen is still not an elite level driver, in my opinion. He's not consistent enough. And he loses his head far too easily.
He's very arrogant, and that's his biggest flaw. He's very quick, but very arrogant.
Yeah.
And that is a massive downfall.
The amount of times the team tell him...
You've got to be a clever driver as well as a quick driver.
Oh, crap. Get ready for slow motion. Oh, no. It's not a dead giveaway at all.
I don't like shots for the middle pocket.
Ah.
Not very good at those.
Yeah. I mean, do you think Red Bull have got enough to challenge Mercedes and Ferrari? Or do you think they've shown that little? It's hard to tell.
They've shown so little, it's hard to tell. I find it hard to believe that...
Well,
wow,
Snake, don't miss this. Don't miss it.
Whoa!
Amazing. I think we should make this. Let's make this a deciding game, eh?
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised that people are saying that Red Bull have almost got the same pace as Mercedes have, and I'm like, really? What gives you that idea?
They've done nothing to prove it.
Yeah,
I think they could. It could be, but until we see Melbourne, we're not really sure. I mean, for now, I'm going to say they'll be third in the constructors, just purely because I think Mercedes and Ferrari are so strong. And I just think with the Honda engine, they will have to take some grid penalties later on in the season. But yeah, Verstappen or Gasly, who are you going for? I think I know who I'm going to say.
Gasly hasn't been hugely that impressive for me. He had one and off, a couple
he had that
of
great race in
great
Bahrain.
performances. He did, but that was pretty much it. I don't remember much else.
Woohoo!
So it's got to be Max Verstappen.
And also,
he'll be favoured in that team as well. The team's built around him now, so that's another reason to back him. So Max Verstappen.
Yeah. Also, can I just say Red Bull are the biggest pricks in F1? And I only say this because every year they bring out a brilliant looking livery and then just go, nah. And revert back to the same one.
Yeah, it's Red Bull. Red Bull's livery is always boring because they hardly change it.
But then they
So I
show
don't
us
even
what they
want to
can
talk
do.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Oh.
talk about the livery because it's the same thing for the past God knows how many years.
The one they brought out did look really nice, I'll say that, but it's just annoying that they didn't stick with it.
Use it.
Yeah. Yep. Also, can Christian Horner stop with the comments? Like, every time he says something, it's so embarrassing. Like, the whole, like, Hamilton fears Verstappen more than anyone else. No, he doesn't. I don't think he fears anyone for a
Yeah.
start, but if he's going to fear anyone this year, it'd be Charles Leclerc, in my view.
Of all the team principals that talk a load of crap, it's definitely Christian Horner. Absolutely. He talks shit about the Renault engine, so unsurprisingly Renault no longer with Red Bull. And shot themselves in the foot there. Like he even said, like, Daniel Ricciardo ran away from Max Verstappen.
I ran away from a team that was favouring them.
Yeah.
You're going for a double here, aren't you?
Yeah,
Which went
and that went
tremendous.
so well.
Oh dear. Oh, come on. Stop! Stop!
Stop!
Uh-oh. What?
Didn't hit the cushion. None of the balls hit the cushion.
Oh no, the game!
You know, I can still play, right?
Shut up.
Come on!
Well done.
Thank you. That was tough.
Now move on to the Mercedes. Actually, no. Should we do Mercedes or Ferrari? Let's do Mercedes first. Obviously, same driver lineup: Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas. First of all, can I just say their car is beautiful. Sorry, we'll do one more match.
For me, it was the best looking car out of all of them. I really love the car. It's my favourite one.
They've not really made any massive changes, but they've just all the subtle changes they've made have just made it look brilliant.
I like the strokes of the light blue on the car. The silver doesn't look tacky either. It looks like a really good coat of silver. It's a really good looking car.
Easily the best looking Mercedes has ever been.
I think the best change was changing the colour of the halo to silver as well to make it blend in more.
Oh, I have to go for stripes, that's annoying. Yeah, it's such a nice looking car, it really is. Now, we were a bit worried about Mercedes' lack of pace, but they showed something today which suggests they are not too far off. They did the second quickest timer testing, literally 3 thousandths of a second slower than Vettel. And the massive aerodynamic upgrade they brought to the second test looks like it's working. The drivers are still not sounding overly confident, saying that they feel Ferrari have got the best package and they've still got a lot of work to do. I don't know, they've said that a lot before.
Well, mind games are being played here. They can't both be saying this, because even the team principal at Ferrari is saying they think Mercedes are quicker as well, so I think a lot of mind games are being played here. So I won't believe everything they say. I won't believe what Lewis Hamilton says, what Bottas says, what Toto Wolff says, or anyone at Ferrari says.
If there's a driver on the grid this year who's under pressure, it's surely Valtteri Bottas, right?
Well, him and Sebastian Vettel, but we'll go to Vettel later. But for Valtteri Bottas, I liked his comments during winter, saying he's not going to follow team orders as easily as he did last season, and letting Lewis through and stuff like that, or helping the team out if it helps Lewis. Because this is his year. If he doesn't do particularly well, he's out.
They've got a ready-made replacement in Esteban Ocon waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And that's...
I'm sure they've got a lot of drivers who would want to take that Mercedes seat as well. Daniel Ricciardo, for one.
Yeah.
You know?
You know,
It's not like they're short on drivers.
Oh, Colton, definitely not. And I do like the fact that he's saying he's like me less inclined to follow team orders this year, because I'm a Hamilton fan, but I did not like some of the things that happened last year. I understand why they did it. Like, Bottas was struggling, he was not in a title fight, but I don't like to see it. I think it's a route that Ferrari...
Sochi was the worst one to watch for me personally, because I didn't think it was necessary. I think Mercedes should have had faith in their team, let Valtteri Bottas win, and believe they could still win the Constructors and Drivers' Championships.
It was quite clear at that point Mercedes had the advantage, and it just made the whole the podium and after race thing really awkward. Lewis should have, like, they should have been there on the podium celebrating a 1-2, and both drivers just looked like they didn't want to be there.
It seemed like they lacked confidence in themselves at that point, because they even said, like, they didn't discuss swapping drivers. They were just going to let them race, and then all of a sudden mid-race, oh, sorry Bottas, you need to let Lewis through. It was a split decision, a split-second decision.
Well, that was a poor shot. Oh, crap.
Whoa!
Wait, what?
What?
Oh, it's not gone in! Oh my god! Oh my
It went in slow
goodness
motion.
me!
The snake is wrong! You thought the ball was in, but it's wrong!
This is where I clear up now, innit?
Oh, that will hurt.
Oh crap, this is going to have to be an all
Not an easy shot. Yeah.
Keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, damn it! Say don't miss it! Get ready for the most stupidly dramatic shot.
I love the chalk that comes out of it. Whoa, the effects!
Well, I'll actually do then. So yeah, we're going to Ferrari now. Actually, before I actually, I'll ask Hamilton or Bottas who's going to do better. I'm guessing you're going to say Lewis, but I'll give you the option anyway.
Well, the only driver I'm a fan of is Lewis Hamilton, so I'm going to try not be biased, but he is a 5-time world champion, and he's a current world champion, so it'd be silly not to say Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah. But I do want Valtteri Bottas to put up a better fight. But not so much to the point where they damage the team and Ferrari fight their way in.
I agree.
I want to see good competitive racing.
I believe the infighting will be happening at Ferrari, in my opinion. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel job by Charles Leclerc this year. The car looks ridiculously quick. I'm not even going to deny it. It does look like the best car at the moment.
I know in testing Ferrari always look good, but it's just something about this year in particular. The car looks really, really good in terms of speed.
It does look like it has a reliability problem.
Well, I'd say for most of the first week of testing, it looked pretty solid. It looked unstoppable. And then, later down the line, towards the end of the tests, you're right, they had several reliability issues. one, which was very worrying, that huge crash with Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah,
That was a surprise. But,
it's not like the team tried to
yeah, looks
deflect
like they
it.
do have some weaknesses after all. But if they sort that out, they're going to be very tough to beat.
Does it
Tougher
maybe?
than last year, because last year, personally, I thought for the majority of the season, Ferrari had the quickest car, but they didn't pull it together in terms of
Yeah,
strategy, and how
Dri-
well other teams did, especially Mercedes.
and driver errors from Vettel.
Yes, that too.
I just feel like the worry thing is with those reliability problems is the reliability problems seem to occur the more they push the car,
Yeah,
which makes you wonder, are they going to have issues with just like trying to use that how quick their car is. So
I mean,
that is the
it's
one.
also interesting. You know, they've got a new teammate, and that could affect the team as well. You know, they don't want Charles Leclerc to get too close to Sebastian Vettel. I know they've said they want Vettel to be the priority when it comes to fighting for the championship or race victories or whatnot.
Oh crap!
But
Oh, it's just all gone wrong.
oh dear, unlucky.
Uh,
So yeah, I'm glad that Ferrari have shown some signs of weakness, because if they didn't, I was very worried for the season, because no one wants to see a dominant team, and especially a dominant driver, especially if they put Vettel as the -- 1 driver and they don't let Leclerc fight him too hard.
I still
You don't
think
want to see that.
I still think they're gonna have to get Leclerc involved because I just think he's that quick. I don't think you can stop a driver. You can make a driver number 2 if he's quicker than a number 1 driver.
Are they going to put him in a Kimi Raikkonen role and just put him on a worse strategy just to help Sebastian Vettel? Are they going to let him hold up the Mercedes so Vettel can pull away?
Is
I
Leclerc
think
going
they
to agree
might
to
do
that?
that. It's for his first season at Ferrari. I think he would.
I'm doubtful. I don't think Leclerc's going there to play second fiddle. He might initially, but I just think he's too quick.
But he might be put on that strategy and not realise that though, before it's too late.
That was a good shot if I'd have put some power on it.
Yeah, that was a good shot if you got it in.
I'm just. So I'm going to end off this live stream with a couple of things. Firstly, I want to know who your fantasy team is. Or fantasy like lineup is.
Well, I need to bring it up.
If you want,
I wasn't expecting this question.
If you want, we can back out this game and as we're finishing off.
Yeah.
How do I get out of this?
Let's head on to Facebook now.
I'll just stop playing. So let's look at the I Just Love a Batter team.
I'll look at my team. I mean, seriously.
It's a tough one, really, because with a budget limit, you've got to think sensibly, haven't you?
For me, it was pick one really good driver, and then the rest just try and pick good drivers that don't cost so much.
I picked 2 good drivers, and then obviously the rest of it is kind of teams that I think will get drivers I think will get good points. I mean, I've gone with a sort of solid team as well.
Yeah.
This is where it's proper anticlimactic because we've gone for the exact same thing.
Oh, come on.
I'll sort of do it this way. I'll ask you to go from your best to worst driver. We'll do one at a time and see if we have the same drivers. Do you remember who your best driver is? Because we suppose we could talk about that while you're loading it up.
What best driver in what
Your most
on the grid?
No, your most expensive sort of driver on your fantasy team is.
I have to log in.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
it's taking a while.
Why doing that then? I was gonna podium for Australia. What are you going with?
What? Who's going to be on the podium?
Yep, first to third. Who are you going with?
Vettel, Leclerc, Hamilton.
I'm going with Vettel, Hamilton, Leclerc.
Okay.
I'll be bored.
Why? Oh, I can't sign in. I won't. I don't think I'll be able to tell you my fantasy team because I can't get to it right now.
Right. Okay. Drivers and constructors champions. Who are you going for?
Is it bad to go against the driver I like and follow all my life? And he's my only my only F1 fan.
I'm gonna do a brave prediction, me.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it's Sebastian Vettel this year.
Oh God.
At Ferrari. I don't want it to be, but they look strong, and I'd be surprised if they mess it up again. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
But my heart says, obviously, I'm a huge Lewis Hamilton fanboy. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes. But realistically, Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari.
I'm gonna go with Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari.
Well, you think it'll be very close then?
I just think that I just felt Lewis is gonna pull it out the bag, and I don't know. I feel like Ferrari's gonna have a problem with Leclerc and Vettel at some point in the year because I just feel like Leclerc's too quick.
I finally got my fantasy team up.
Okay, so who's your most expensive driver? And I'll tell you. Actually, no. Let's go do it the opposite way around. Who's your least expensive driver?
I don't know. Hang on.
Why said you got it up?
I have, but it doesn't tell me how much they're worth.
You also got that. There's like that driver you've got bonus points for, isn't there, as well? Like, is it T? I don't know what it means. But treble, maybe, I don't know. But yeah.
It's Sebastian Vettel, 27.5 million. Daniel Ricciardo, 12 million. Kevin Magnussen, 10 million. Kimi Raikkonen, 10 million. I've picked Ferrari as the constructors. And Sergio Perez, 11 million.
Wow, we literally only have one clash.
Oh, okay.
And it's not what you would expect either. It's Kevin Magnussen.
Well, there you go.
So I've gone with Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, and Carlos Sainz. And my team is Renault.
Interesting.
And who's the driver you've got the T next to? I don't know what it means, but I think it means like they get double points or something.
Yeah, they get more points. I've picked Ricciardo.
I picked his teammate Hulkenberg.
Ooh.
I just feel like he's a good driver to go
Interesting.
for. Like, I feel like Renault are a good team to go for because I think they'll consistently score points. And I just feel like
I think consistent-wise, you've picked a good driver, which for double points is good.
It's interesting I picked Sainz over Norris when I said Norris had outperformed Sainz. Now looking back on that, that's a bit of a dumb decision on my part, but well, not really, I suppose, because it will be close. I think you've gone for the big team in the constructors, whereas I've gone for two big drivers. So I'm interested to see how that compares. Obviously, you've gone for
Yes.
Vettel, whereas I've gone for Lewis and Leclerc. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a great year. I'm really excited for this year. In terms of one last thing, do you think the changes they've made to the cars are going to improve overtaking, or do you think it's just a bit of a sort of desperate move to improve it?
Uh, I don't think it's going to change overtaking that much. I think it will relatively stay the same as it was before. I think the biggest mistake was making the cars wider.
I do
They
think
shouldn't have done that.
I do think they'll look nicer wider, but they are more difficult to race.
They do. Like Monaco, good luck seeing an overtake there.
Unless it's
Because,
wet.
yeah,
Well, that's the thing. Ricardo won last year's Monaco Grand Prix with a car that was dying. Just because there was no way for anyone to overtake him.
that's it.
It's one of those. But I mean, Monaco's, to be fair, it's difficult for people to overtake a Monaco, and if the cars were really small. It's just the way the track is. Yeah,
But yeah, it's more possible to overtake Monaco with a smaller car, though.
I suppose that's a few more questions to do for predictions. Who's your dark horse for the season? Who's a driver you think got a little bit unnoticed, but you think they're gonna do a really good job and surprise a few
Well,
people?
yeah. Well, outside of Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc for me. I've seen some of his other performances outside of F1, and they really impressed me. So people are going to say like he's not going to challenge Sebastian Vettel, but I reckon at certain races he will.
I think he's gonna beat Vettel in points this year. I know it's a brave prediction, but I do.
That is a very brave prediction, especially if they favour Vettel over Leclerc. It is brave.
They're probably planning to favour Vettel over Ricardo at Red Bull, but we all saw what happened there.
Yeah.
I just got a silver trophy because you did that.
Yeah!
So thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna go a bit more out there in terms of my things. And Leclerc, I think he's quietly fancied by sort of some people anyway. And obviously he's in a big car. I'm gonna go for Lando Norris. I just feel like he's gonna be such a good driver to watch in years to come. And it just excites me. We've got so many British drivers on the grid now.
Yeah. He's out of all the rookies that are coming into F1 this season, Lando Norris is the one I'm most excited about.
I'd
For
probably
sure.
be equally excited for George Russell, but he's in a Williams. No
Yeah, he's good,
disrespect.
but he's not that good.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do, and if a car's not up to
I
it.
feel like that's going to be the problem. Is I think you're right that Norris is going to perform well, but I feel like McLaren's car is going to be so bad to the point where he's not going to be so much of a dark horse because the car's too slow.
Alright, and if that's the case, let's end by doing our prediction of the Constructors' Championship and where every team will finish. Obviously, you've already said Ferrari first. I assume we're both thinking Mercedes second.
Yes.
Red Bull third?
Yeah.
Renault fourth?
Yeah.
But this is probably the bit where it gets a bit more unpredictable. Who'd you put fifth?
Toro Rosso.
Interesting. I'm gonna go McLaren.
Okay.
Sixth, I'll go Toro Rosso. What would you go for sixth?
Alfa Romeo.
Ooh, that's actually quite high. I was waiting to put so high. Seventh, I'll go Haas.
McLaren.
Eighth, I'll go Alpha.
Haas.
And then ninth, Racing Point, I'm afraid.
Racing Point. Yep.
And then Williams.
And then Williams.
God,
Yes.
I think the biggest surprise there is how low down we put Racing Point.
Yeah. Well, it's early days yet, but
I'm going to say it partly
the
because of
testing
this.
has not been great.
A, their testing's not been great. B, I think the midfield's going to be that close this year that the drivers are going to make a big difference. And I just think Stroll's going to let them down massively in that regard. I think Perez is going to be carrying that team.
Yeah.
And
Not the best driver lineup.
No, definitely not. And I just think Toro Rosso, although they haven't got a great lineup either, I just feel like Kvyat and Albon are going to have points to prove. And I don't know, I just feel like we're going to see a rejuvenated Kvyat this year. I hope so anyway, because you know he's going to be given another chance, and I just hope he takes it because he's not a bad driver, and you don't get into Red Bull if you're a bad driver.
I think Toro Rosso will have a good car, so that's why we'll put them in fifth. So,
And
the drivers seem to be decent.
Yeah, their car does look really good. I'm hoping for their sake they have a good season. Yeah, that's it. Pretty much brings it to an end. It's just 2 weeks to go now. I'm already so excited. I'm probably not going to feel like that when I'm been waking up ridiculous times.
I never normally watch testing, but I've watched every day. Well, I've been following it every day, because of so many changes that have happened for the season to come. How can you not be excited, right?
I know, right? It is going to be one hell of a season, and of course, this is also the year where we find out what Liberty Media are going to propose for the 2021 cars. So we're going to get a greater idea this year of where the future of the sport's going. I think there's still a long...
For better or for worse.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of... I don't think the big teams... Obviously the big teams are not backing down over the money issue. Although I think for the fans, it would be good if the money gap was bridged, because I think it is too high. I think teams get money for no reason, which should not be a thing. Ferrari. Other than
They're going to struggle really hard to change that rule. It's like football, and several other sports.
Big teams have all the power.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. The teams with the biggest amount of money are the ones most likely to win. Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. They've all got history and they've all got a lot of money.
I think the biggest thing they can focus on is putting in rules that encourage new teams to join. Maybe new manufacturers, like Porsche, BMW. I think.
Well, they're going to look at teams like Racing Point and Williams. What used to be Force India was heading out of F1 and were resurrected. So they got lucky. Williams, they could be out. They could be heading out in a couple of years to come.
They need big investment. They might even need to be taken over by a manufacturer.
Yeah. It's not the first time we've seen several teams leave F1 because they're out of money. It is a huge problem.
Could you see if the situation presented itself that Mercedes would maybe think about taking over Williams, and if there was no chance of them being recovered, and Mercedes stepping in and getting a B team out of it?
I don't think a B team is heavily that necessary. I don't see a lot of potential in having a B team.
Ferrari and
Obviously,
Red Bull have one.
And Ferrari have one, but if you can put your driver into a team anyway, I don't see why you need to invest into an entire team and make it a B team.
Would you say though Ocon and Verline could have benefited from them being one? Because they kind of got left hang out to
Yes
dry
and
a bit.
no. I feel like they've given up on Verline. I mean, Verline's in Formula E now. I feel like they've completely forgot about him. So I'll be surprised if we ever see him in F1 again. Esteban Ocon, well, I ain't got a clue what he's doing now.
I think isn't he a sort of a test reserve driver for Mercedes this year?
Hmm. Well, it's good to be test reserve driver at least for a big team than no drive at all. But they should have done better in giving him a seat, and they didn't.
No, I think they let him down in that regard.
If anything, they did well in getting George Russell a seat, but they did very poor to get Ocon in one, which was a strange decision.
It does make you wonder, like, why was it? If Russell could have got a seat, why couldn't Ocon have?
Why couldn't Ocon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't rate him that much. Who knows?
It does still sound like he's a likely replacement for Bottas if Bottas has another year like he had last year.
Well, maybe thought, we'll try and get him in a better team rather than Williams. And if we can't do that, we'll have him reserve driver. So maybe they already made their mind up.
That is true. That is true. Maybe they thought Russell needed the experience, and what could Ocon gain out of being in a really slow car?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can get that. Yeah, definitely. It does make sense, I suppose, in that regard. And I hope for Ocon's sake it's not the last we see of him.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much brings an end to the stream. It's been good, and hopefully the season lives up to our hopes, because it is the most exciting season I think I can remember since 2014 in terms of the build-up.
We do need a good championship battle. We haven't had one for a long time.
I think one note to leave it on as well is don't panic if Australia's boring. Because Australia is always boring. Unless there's rain.
To be honest, when everyone's been away for that long, Melbourne is rarely ever boring because everyone's just excited to see the cars again.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean though, like boring in terms of a lack of overtaking.
If you get bored of watching the first race of the season, you're not going to enjoy many races.
Oh no, I say I won't be bored. You know what I mean? I won't be bored, but I just mean like, people like are wanting to see if these overtaking changes are going to work or not. You're not going to find that out in Australia. It's tracks like Bahrain, China, and Baku that come afterwards where we're going to find out what overtaking is like, how easy it is, or how difficult it is.
Yeah, very true.
And it's a type of overtaking as well. It's not. No one wants to see just DRS overtaking. You want to see cars going side by side heading into a corner. You want to see. You want to see good overtaking.
They need to make it where being behind a car doesn't give you so much drag.
Yeah,
because that's where the biggest problem is.
You see it on board of a car whenever they're behind another car. You can see the understeer going through a corner.
Yeah.
That the driver behind has. There's nothing they can do about that. That's why they always say, like, sometimes drivers' qualifying laps get ruined if they're even like 2 seconds behind a car because of the turbulent air.
It would be difficult to improve that for the driver behind, but that's what they need to work on. If you want to see better overtaking, for sure.
Definitely.
You need to give somewhat of an advantage to the driver behind, or at least not having him at a disadvantage, because being behind a car, he'll get a lot of drag.
Yeah.
Tyres wherever etc., etc.
Definitely. I think that pretty much brings it into our preview, and yeah, I can't wait for 1 o'clock Friday morning where we hear that famous dun 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 dun.
Practice will be good, but all starts at Melbourne qualifying. That's where it really starts. It's when it matters.
Yeah. I'm excited for practice. I think it'll give us much more of an idea of testing, because I think testing has probably been this year probably the most vague out of any year. There's still a lot that we don't really know, which adds to the excitement, because
Well, the
not knowing
excitement
is
is, for qualifying, we'll see who's potentially the quickest. And then the race is even more exciting because you don't know if the drivers at front have good race pace. So it's two completely different days.
definitely. Bring on Australia. It's 2 weeks to
Bring it
go.
on! You have to wake up at the crack of dawn.
I can't
Ten
complain
past
about it.
5 in the morning for qualifying, 6 o'clock for the race.
It's the other way around.
Is it?
6 o'clock for qualifying, 5:10 for the race.
That's even worse.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say it was better or worse. I just said it was. That's what it is. Because it's always 10 past now for the races, isn't it?
Oh, that sucks. Why can't it be 10 past 6?
Well, is that just your thinking of, well, I suppose I can miss qualifying if I have to?
I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss it at all.
No.
But I think I'll
Well,
watch the highlights. Maybe. Who knows?
no, get up with me. That sounds really weird.
It's annoying that the first race weekend is so early.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Think how Australian people feel. Nearly all their races they have to get up at crack of dawn. At least we've only got it for the odd race here and there.
Yeah.
Literally, the only other bad one's Japan, which I think is 6. China's at 7 a.m, but that's not too bad.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, bring on no sleep. Yeah, we might do a race review on the week after a race. I don't know. To be honest with you, this is the first time I've done anything on YouTube for months, so God only knows what the next thing will be. Anyway,
Robert Kubica crosses the line and wins the Australian Grand Prix
I think Snake's drunk.
as he wakes up.
He'd probably wake up during the race as well. It'd be that boring for him. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
How do I end this? Come on!